Thanks, Lauren.
Oh, great. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good group here. Alessandro, did you want to just start talking about the
Yeah, I guess we can start.
Hey, Mike, repeat the thing about the conference since you're recording now.
Yeah, since I'm recording, please everyone go check out querycon.io. That's the website for the QueryCon conference happening June 20 and 21st in New York. And we are currently asking for submissions for talks, and we have some more lined up on the schedule. Alessandro mentioned a couple that we have up there already from Trail of Bits and from some other external speakers, but we have more coming. So please submit, and you get a free ticket. And if you can't make it to talk, we really appreciate you to attend. So check out the website. All right, I'll let Alessandro begin.
Okay, let's start with the state of what we have right now. We know that we have two branches right now: experimental and master. Sadly, master has been unmaintained for quite some time now. But the experimental branch is going forward with refactor and so on. The trouble we have right now is that we do not have something that we can ship to customer and install on production environments because the experimental version is not stable. And the old version, master, is not receiving any update. Additionally, we also have another issue. The pull requests that have been left alone and maintained are getting lost. Some of them have been migrated to the experimental branch, but there is nothing that applies the same fixes on the current stable version. So the first need we have is have an updated master version, which everyone now already trusts because it has been proved stable over the years. So it is not reasonable to use the experimental branch right now on production environments. We ended up hard forking the master branch inside our OSQL organization. And we would like to have the community contribution in merging pull requests and managing issues there. There are some additional needs that we had. We would like to be able to provide a continuous integration system to everyone in the community, and not just some systems that are inside Facebook and not visible to the side. As of now, we don't have much vision into what is happening behind those closed doors. We also need to be able to review pull requests because I think that it is not just about the code, but about the people. I think we need to be able to build OSQL together, because if we only have a couple of people working on it, the project will not steer in the right direction, which is what the community needs, rather than what a specific company wants. So the point of making the soft fork for OSQL is kind of the similar. We did it for the same reasons. For the experimental fork, we plan on following upstream and work on the master branch until it is ready. We already know that Facebook is going to make an announcement. What we feel it is important for everyone is that certain needs are met. I hope we are not, asking for too much, but I think that what is needed here is being able to work without having so many bottlenecks when it comes to making pull requests, reviewing them, and merging them.
Maybe I can hop in here, Alessandro?
Yeah, sure.
So, hi, folks. I spoke to
You're,
Blake
you're breaking up,
Matheny
Zach.
at
Maybe
Facebook
try
yesterday.
muting.
Can you all hear me now?
For the time being, yes.
Yeah.
I'm turning off my camera to prioritize audio here. So I spoke to Blake Matheny, who's the manager responsible for OSQuery at Facebook yesterday. He's been at Facebook for 6 years and worked on a variety of projects that have been open sourced in different styles. And his news to me is that there is an imminent, in the next couple weeks, transition to a community governance model for OSQuery, the OSQuery project. So it's not clear to me why this has been not communicated to us in any sort of planning phase or anything, but my understanding is that we as the community are going to be granted the ability for a technical board to have full commit access to the OSQuery repo. So that will remove that bottleneck from Facebook. The project will be granted to a major open source foundation, which is not yet determined, but should be a reputable organization. And then they're hoping to set up a model in which companies can join a non-technical advisory board through that foundation to help sponsor education and conferences and the development of the OSQuery project. So again, I'm not sure. It's not clear to me, based on my limited conversations with them, why this hasn't been communicated with any of us up until now, and why no one at Facebook is here to help make that announcement. But they've told me that I can share this news with the unfortunately limited details I have right now, and we should get the full announcement in the next couple weeks. So in my eyes, this is really good news, and I think that we've lost a lot of time. We've lost maybe a year as far as this project goes to the refactoring and the seeming abandonment of the open source community from Facebook. But it looks like we're imminently about to have the opportunity to take back this governance as a community and drive the project in the direction that we're all going to benefit from. So it's my hope that we can make this transition smoothly and that we can all get on board as the various stakeholders here who have been working on this project for years and care a lot about the future of it, to take the reins of this thing and make it awesome again. So that's what I have.
Hopefully I'm not the only one that finds it funny that Facebook couldn't even show their face to say that. I mean, like, how do we even expect this is going to go well if they can't even show up to this meeting and tell us? This is ridiculous. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. I have zero faith that they're going to execute this well at the moment. So I want to just continue doing what we're doing until they give us a concrete reason to stop. Because I think that this is just them trying with the limited effort, the most limited effort they can to get us to stop doing what we're doing, because they know that it threatens their control of the ecosystem. So I don't want to change a thing until they prove to us that we should.
I'm on board with that. I wouldn't advocate anyone changing plans as of now, but I think that it would be good for us to all prepare for the hopeful reality that this really will be happening in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know exactly what there is that we could do to prepare, because like any amount of preparation means like let's scale back the strategic things that we could do to put ourselves in a good position. So like, we shouldn't undertake a larger effort to get master up to speed again, and and leave the experimental branch behind. Like we shouldn't do XYZ big thing. So I'm kind of concerned with getting into that kind of attitude, because I don't have 100% trust that Facebook's going to pull through with a system that works for everybody. Based on the conversations we had a few months ago, they were like, "We will give up control of OS Query over my dead body." So I would be very surprised to see if they transition it to some kind of third party where they actually do give up some element of control. This isn't anything against you, Zach. This is just me kind of being pretty frustrated about the way we've all been treated the last year.
We're all frustrated, Dan. And again, I'm not advocating to stop doing those things. And in fact, as far as I'm concerned, if this does come through in the way that it was communicated to me, we will all benefit from having figured out how we're going to transition back to the master branch, getting commits and pull requests merged into that. And that's going to give us a head start on reigniting the development of a master branch that works for everyone and not just Facebook.
Oh yeah, totally. No, I mean,
So
we did all the work that they should have been.
yeah. So
now we benefit from that.
We can progress on that over the next couple weeks before this transition takes place. Then hopefully when the transition does take place, we can that becomes the new master branch. As far as I'm concerned, I want to see things moving, as I know many folks on this call do.
Zach, I assume you're mostly just a messenger here. Do you have any sense of timeline, even timeline for like what a Facebook person may announce?
From my conversation with Blake, who is that manager at Facebook, my understanding is that he intends to get it done in the next 2 weeks. And again, this is confusing to me that it wasn't communicated to anyone in any way before this time, and now we're so close to it happening. And again, I'm only the messenger here, but this is what I have been told
And
as of yesterday.
Do you have any sense, again, you may not even be able to say, of what community governance means? Like, is this a starting a foundation? Is this a handing it off somewhere else? Is this a, hey there, person who we kind of like, come be a commit? Like, do we even know?
No, this is handing it off to an existing foundation. And this is starting with an initial list of committers, including a handful of folks outside of Facebook. This is what I've been told.
Does anybody know a project of Facebook where they've done this before?
I mean, they've handed things off to Apache in the past. I don't know if that's still going to be Apache. I don't know if that's the right fit, but
yeah,
that's what they've done in the past. And then they've reforked things. So I see where you're going probably with these comments. But
yeah, I mean, so I just have very low faith that this will be executed. First, I have very low faith that it'll be executed. And then second, I have very low faith that it'll be executed well. So I guess thanks for letting us know, Zach. But in the meantime, I want to just operate as if I didn't have this information. I think that's probably the best strategy at the short term. So we should just keep doing what we're doing, because like you said, eventually, if this magical event does happen in the future, and they want to refork the project away from all of us and into Apache or into the Linux Foundation or into whatever, then like cool, they can do that. But we all should just keep on working what we've got. Yeah.
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 I have a kind of a general feeling along the lines of Dan is that, to me, they've blown the trust enough that it's not worth going back, and the fact that they should have any ownership or control of it anyway. Because I don't have faith that they're not going to do something in bad faith again later. So I would prefer to keep as much of control as we can in the community. And if they want to be core contributors, that's awesome. But I would actually, even if they say we're going to maintain it and we'll put all our great heart and effort back into it, I would be very loath to actually do that because there's nothing stopping them from screwing it up once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear from what Zach's saying that we certainly surprised them by taking the fork and the fork route. Like, I don't think they expected us to do that. And I think that once it sank in, they were apparently pretty upset, or else they wouldn't have come back with this, yet another secret plan to fix everything without talking to anyone.
About what you mentioned, Matt, we will always, no matter what happens, always import patches from Facebook back to our fork.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is preferable.
That feels safer to me.
What are you saying? Sorry?
That feels much safer to me than relying on them doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, we would like to collaborate with everyone if they can join and work with us. We are super happy to do it with them. But regardless, we will always have their patches applied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's good code, it's good code. You take it. But yeah,
I just want to voice my support for the long-term support version of forking master, because although I do have faith, like I don't think anybody at Facebook is doing things just because they're malicious or something. I don't think anybody is, and we know, like, most of us have met those guys and know them. I just think that they're organizationally structured in a way where it's hard for them to do the good thing. And who knows, maybe eventually it'll come, but there's still that transition period of like, what's going to happen with the experimental branch? Are they going to keep it? Is it still going to be the same? And that's probably, another runaway 6 months, development project. So meanwhile, we still have to use OSQuery. And
I think that the biggest issue here is that there is no one accountable for the community. And whether they change theme or other people, I don't think it will matter much until they designate a person that is responsible for keeping things running within the community. For example, we had Stefano do an excellent job at restoring the CI to the master branch. It only took like a couple of days to get something up and running. And I think this is really important for an open source project. And it doesn't make sense that there is no one that realizes that this is important for not just for them, but for everyone. And we know that there is no evil intent in not doing the CI. The trouble is that there is no one that is being told to work on these kind of things. And we all remember during the last office hours, the London team just told us that, one, they did not know how much time and if they could spend on pull requests from the community, and if they could look at them at all. And unless we have an official stance on this matter, I don't think it matters much what actions they will take in the future.
I think that what we need to be prepared for is that we will not see that sort of effort put into OSQuery by Facebook perhaps ever again. But my understanding is that they want to put the project into a position where those of us who are motivated can make those changes and make the project healthy in the ways that we know it needs to be done.
Yeah, of course. I think that we are always prepared to whatever happens in the future. We are open for collaboration, and whether they choose to go one way or the other, we will always be ready to push forward whatever happens.
Okay, so this is like a somewhat reasonable response from Facebook. I'm disappointed that they couldn't come and show their face here themselves, but you know, it is what it is. So what do we want to do in the meantime, or what do we want to do now? Like, I think, Alessandro, you started talking about how maybe basing future development off experimental was not so great an idea, and that maybe what we should do is we should go back to master and start working with that. Is that kind of what I heard? Or like, what?
Kind
what's the
of.
deal?
We will keep working on OSQL and keep it up to date, of course. But yeah, as you said, we need to keep working on master because everyone just needs it.
That's the community
So,
consensus. Is master is the thing that we want to use.
yeah, so we are working on adding all the platforms back into the continuous integration system. We are adding packages. Initially, we will have unsigned packages generated by the CI, but then we will also add support for signed packages from us. We also want to add back support for some of the platforms that are currently not working very well, like the CentOS 6 build is currently broken, but we plan to fix that. And yeah, generally, we want to restore what the old master was before experimental became the next Facebook goal.
Okay, that sounds good. And I've heard from a lot of people in the room that seems to be a thing that people really, really want. Is there anything specifically that we need help from doing that? Like,
there are many
big
things.
challenges?
We have many issues
Okay.
that have been closed upstream due to a patch applied to experimental, which means that master is still broken. So what we need, not that we have the organization, is people that can actually point out which things are broken, so that we can all together as a community port back the fixes and restore the functionality that we have lost.
Presumably, we can get some of this by looking at all the PRs that were merged against experimental.
Yeah, sure. Some of them will have to be backported, but others have been heavily adjusted to match the new architecture of OSQL, because they have changed the system, but they also have moved several files around and broke them apart.
Oh, absolutely. The PRs may not apply cleanly, but they will be pointers into the work done.
Yeah, of course. But sadly, there are too many of them that have been neglected. So I think that the most efficient way to approach this issue is to go by priority. And, you know, they may have fixed 100 bugs in experimental, but as it is now, we have to address the biggest bugs that are affecting the master branch. So it is probably worth to scroll through them and see which ones are critical and needs to be ported.
Okay, cool. So we want to do a pretty holistic review of all those outstanding pull requests and bugs that got closed. That's pretty reasonable. What else do we need to do to get LTS going?
We need to finish to add support for signed packages. And we probably also need to add support for repositories for Debian and CentOS.
Cool. Okay, that's straightforward. I assume that we can probably handle that. Or we should be the people to do it. Yeah,
I guess no one else can actually sign the packages.
Yeah, okay.
Right now.
You can look at the new GitHub package hosting.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about
Super
that.
shiny.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to chat about Windows code signing if anyone wants background on that.
Cool.
Yeah, we accept all the help we can get. Of course, that is much appreciated.
Seth and I have done quite a bit of work in the past to work on creating packages for all the platforms, and Seth has cleaned that code up quite a bit lately in a way where it's useful as a library. We can, I don't mean to volunteer you stuff, but we can probably add a lot of tooling for making packaging more streamlined, even though they're not signed. At least they can be built for each platform.
To expand that slightly, right? The work I've been doing is over in the launcher repository, which is basically all public source, right? That's a bunch of Go code designed to make cross-platform packaging somewhat easier. So there's a big hairy pile of Go code there that will spit out depackage, RPMs, MSIs, and PKGs with a whole host of init scripts on it. An interesting conversation for us is whether that makes maybe sense for OSQL LTS, or I know in the past I've heard that like CMake has similar functionality. So if we're really CMake focused, it might make sense to stay at CMake and just sort of like take whatever things I've gotten hashed out around how do you actually make like a Windows service that works and like port them to CMake versus this. I don't know, like I'm kind of happy to do whatever, but
Yeah. The thing is, like the current, even if you look at stable or experimental, doesn't matter, but like the current build scripts for building OS platform packages are very difficult to work with. Yeah, as Seth points out. So, and I mean, they're mostly they're not really doing that much different from what our thing does, but it's like there's an XML file for Windows that gets templated with a few options, and it's generated by our PowerShell script and so on. So like there's the difficult bit in all of that is that they're not consistently set up versus this offers, a framework that is kind of consistent and is specific to OS query packages that people want. So I don't know. It's an idea that I'd be happy to contribute to that. And
yeah, I'm sure we could use your help in the OSQL LTS packaging system. Since we will have to provide signing, we will have to touch it anyway. And yeah, if you're able to share your vast experience on the matter, we are super happy.
I'll
Thanks
file
for
an
offering
issue
help.
so we can discuss it there.
Yeah, sure. Also, allow me to mention the case-sensitive XML scripts for Wix. They are bad. I never want to look them again.
If you ever want to build Wix, start with the stuff I built, and don't ever look at the OS query PowerShell Wix generator.
Wow.
It's very bad.
I can imagine. I think we cover pretty much everything from our agenda. We will update the meeting notes and share them. I was wondering if anyone had any question about either OSQL or the master fork we have made.
Yeah, who are we still waiting to hear from for CFP entries for OS query or for QueryCon? And who's not coming?
I probably owe you at least one possible talk. I don't know. You want to hear me talk about Launcher?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
You want build systems? I got build systems.
I want to hear Fred's talk. Fred's been doing a lot of tables and looking at stuff. Can Fred's talk about MD Find?
I'll kick it. I'll kick it.
Okay.
We could maybe talk about MD Find. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, and hey, if you guys know anybody that's trying to go and like can't make it for some reason or whatever, especially if it's cost related, just let me know. We really like to get as many people there as possible. So I'm playing around with my budget a little bit, and we can make some exceptions for people. So hit me
What's
up.
the
with some
latest you need the
responsible reports.
submissions by?
What's that?
What's the latest you need the submissions by?
Oh, I mean,
The sooner the better, but we have
Yeah.
the CFP open until the end of May.
Okay, I'm trying to get my shit together to do something on it, like OSQL in ephemeral environments, but
Ooh, cool.
we'll see.
Yeah, that's a great one. Let's hear it.
Yeah, submit
I
your
got
abstracts.
Docker images. Clippy, you want to chat? Want to team up on that?
Possibly, yeah. I've got a whole lot of shit to do in the next month, so.
I got Docker images. You want 1,000 launchers running in GKE?
Not in GKE, but we can cry about how EKS sucks.
Mm.
So if you think you may have an idea, but you're not sure about it, go ahead and submit it. And if we don't like it for some reason, it's not going to be a flat reject. We will help you craft the topic. And even if you want to do a dry run with us, and we'll flesh out the idea with you and help you with that.
It's more about having the content to actually back it up by that time.
Well, remember, these are 30-minute talks, so you don't have to go for a full hour on the topic you choose.
Yeah, try and benchmark it based on like 20 minutes. So you can skip all the background, just cut to whatever you want to say. And we're going to try and leave some ample room for networking and that kind of stuff in the schedule. I mean, you know how these things work. Like, the conferences are just as important to get everyone in the same room.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Oh, is for those of us who are about to go down a brand new environment, is OSQL master good to go, stable, everyone's happy, and we can do terrible things with it?
Well, it's based on the experimental branch. If you
can I rephrase that question?
Yeah.
I think that there are, so Trail of Bits has announced that there are 2 different OSQL projects. There's the soft fork, which is a overlay on experimental, and then there's the new long-term support, which is more of a hard fork of master. So maybe there's a request to make it clear how to interact with those 2 models and like which of them is which. And I don't know if that means like docs on a website or like clear readmes in the repos, but
personally, I think we screwed up the names. Like, it probably should be reversed. We should just call OSQL LTS OSQL, and we should call OSQL experimental.
Do it. do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that is my basic question is like if there's going to be a brand new production environment that's going to get a copy of OSQL, where do I go for it? Because it is not entirely clear. So a clarification of like, this is the one you should use, and this is the one you shouldn't, and this is the one that may shoot you in the foot, would be awesome.
So maybe that's let's rename the repos.
Yeah, makes sense.
Possibly. Yeah, I'll let you guys figure that out. Oh yeah, other thing. So all of you presumably have jobs. If there's a way that you could help us drum up some support for QueryCon, that would be awesome. Like, if you're speaking, and if you could write like a little quickie blog post that just says like, hey, I'm going to be talking about XYZ at QueryCon. Here's my abstract. Here's a link to the site. I would appreciate it a ton. I really want to sell out the space that we're at, and any additional help would be really, really appreciated. So just throwing that out there. If you got a blog, if you got Twitter, if you got a Medium, like whatever. You already wrote the abstract, may as well just use it. So what else you guys got? I didn't look at the agenda.
I think that is all, unless people have any question. We do have a small FAQ and the meeting notes. So some of the questions that we got asked most of the time were about the packages that we will support. This doesn't change. This will still be Debian packages, RPM, MSI for Windows, PKG for macOS, and zip archives for Linux.
Cool.
The platform support is still the same, at least for the master branch, which didn't receive any disruptive change. When it comes to OSQL, or rather the experimental branch, things are it is a little harder because they drop support for everything that is not just the latest release of any distribution, at least for building. We will try to improve this and add support for the previously supported platforms. Of course, it may take some time since we've had to undo some of the changes made upstream. And of course, signed packages, we will have them. And yet again, yes, about distribution repositories. And one last thing, I already mentioned this, but we will always try to collaborate and get back packages from upstream.
Okay, cool. So, are we done?
Yeah, I think so. We'll publish the meeting notes after this is over.
Okay, great. Well,
Guys, thanks for joining. It was really nice seeing you. Some of you guys I already know. But it is nice to see new people here too.
Yeah. Thanks for reviving office hours.
no problem.
Yeah, thank you, and look forward to seeing everyone in person in 6 weeks or so.
That's right.
Talk
There you go.
soon. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.